Would you rather have Mbappe's pace or Messi's left foot? I'd be happy with Messi's elbow if I'm being honest. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you another Q&A video, this one in particular being sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a website, head over to squarespace.com/soccerreviewsforyou. This is the series on my channel where I answer a bunch of your interesting and or weird football boot related questions, all pulled from my Instagram, which is sr4u_Josh. So if you have a question that you'd like me to potentially answer in the next episode, make sure you go and follow me there. Also, if you guys enjoy the Q&A series and want to see it continue, don't forget to support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time but don't want to miss out on daily content from me, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. There was a debate to split each game into 4 quarters or 3 periods. What do you think about this? I'm genuinely not sure if this is a real thing or you're just pulling my leg, but if you want my honest opinion, I don't think that they should change a thing. The introduction of VAR, and I'd be curious to hear everyone's opinions down below in the comments, even that small change I think has been terrible for the game. I think there was already too much complaining towards the referees in professional football, and now it's just 10 times worse. I just feel like human error by the referee is kind of part of the game. And when they're making offside calls literally by the millimeter, I just don't think that's fun. Do you ever use a lower tier boot over a high-end boot? I mean, obviously I test out takedown models, so in that situation, yeah, I'll wear a takedown over a high-end option, but given the choice of pretty much all the boots that I have with lots of high-end options on hand, I pick a high-end boot. They just tend to be better pretty much 99.9% of the time. I guess something like a Nike Premier 2 is something that I break out every once in a while, and that's technically not a takedown model, but it has a takedown model price. I really happen to like that particular boot, but other than that, never really happens. What's the best power boot? You weren't overly specific, so I'm going to assume you mean what's the best power boot right now, and right now, pretty much the only power boot is the Nike Phantom Venom Elite. I almost called it the Hyper Venom, but that to me, with its striking element, pretty much the only boot with a striking element at the moment. It's not even really marketed as a power boot, and it kind of doesn't have the feel of any old school power boot, but for me right now, if you want a power boot, that's the one to get. Which is also part of the reason why it is my personal favorite boot from Nike right now. Hey Jonathan, which brand of cleats do you think have gotten better over time? 2 brands come to mind, the first being New Balance, and they had some good boots early on, but they've had kind of a rocky history over the last several years. Right now, I think they offer some really solid products and there's been some definite improvement. And I'm also going to say Puma. I think that they had some very out there designs in their football boot history, and they went through, I would say, a pretty rough period for the most part. But right now, I think what they have on offer between the Future, the Puma 1, and the brand new Puma King Platinum are all very solid boots. And I know I've criticized the Puma Future. I don't like the current one as much as the older ones, but as a whole, the boots perform really well. Hey Jackie Baby, if I put can't read that. If I put on SR4U laces, will I be faster than Usain Bolt because I have them on speed boots? My ankle support superflies want to know. How do you think Usain Bolt set all those records? Think about it. Who do you think will surpass Adidas and Nike in the future? Nobody. Joshinho, if you had to choose one boot, new or old, to wear forever, which would it be and why? This is quite possibly the most difficult question I've ever had to answer on this series because I've literally tried pretty much every football boot you can imagine, and I have a lot of favorites. As far as the new or old part of the question, I can 100% guarantee that my choice would be an older boot rather than any of the current stuff. So we can totally get that off of the list. But I'm kind of in between 3 different models. So I guess I'll name all 3 and then see if that helps me come to a conclusion. Number 1, Adidas Predator Mania. I think that goes down as one of the greatest football boots of all time. I'm a big fan of power boots. I really like the Predator Mania. Number 2, the Nike Tiempo Legend 5. I think it's kind of an unextraordinary boot by a lot of people's standards, but it was one of my personal favorites for whatever reason. So simple, so comfortable, kangaroo leather. I happen to really like the way that that boot looks as well. So that's pretty high up there for me. And then I also have to say the Nike T90 Laser 2 in the kangaroo leather upper variation. I just have such fond memories of that particular boot. I really like the style of it. It's such an extreme design, kind of an odd pick, I know, but I really, really like those. So right now, in this very moment, I'd probably pick the T90 Laser 2 Leather, which is a super weird pick, but that's my pick. But let me know your opinion down below in the comments. One boot for the rest of your life, what are you picking? Hey, Jabron James, how could Nike improve their almost perfect Mercurial? First off, Jabron James is a good one, so well done there. But as far as Nike improving the current Mercurial, which I think is as close to perfection that Nike has ever achieved on a Mercurial series, I'm going to agree with you on that one. But as far as what they could improve still, I still am of the opinion that the Mercurial Vapor and or Superfly, they're pretty much the same thing, still could be thinner. I still kind of miss the super thin Teijin synthetic that we used to get from Vapor 8. Not so much 9, it kind of thickened up a little bit. Then Vapor 10. Vapor 8 and Vapor 10 really stand out to me as being particularly thin and really offering a super nice barefoot feel. So I definitely think that they could thin out the upper a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure how and if that would work properly, but that's something that I would like to see. I also think getting away from the split sole would be the right thing to do, because I really feel like a split sole construction, while it looks very cool, I'll admit that, is not the best way of designing a speed boot, certainly a football boot, with the concept behind it for it to be as lightweight as possible. I think that if we had the upper of the Vapor 13 Elite right now and put the sole plate from the Vapor 11 and Superfly 5, the boot would be better, it would be lighter, and like I said, I think it could be slightly improved from what it is now. Hey Jupiter, do you think if pro footballers like Messi or CR7 were to start their own soccer brand, especially cleats, their products would sell? I don't want to say that if those guys had their own line of football boots, their own brand, that it wouldn't sell, because I definitely think that it would. Would it do really, really well and surpass a brand like Nike or Adidas that they're currently partnered with? Absolutely not a chance, especially in the modern football boot industry, mainly because everything is so much focused around new technology, new concepts, new materials, and all of these things cost a ton of money and a ton of manpower to actually develop, which is what I think a lot of people don't realize. A good example of this, if you're familiar with basketball shoes at all, is what Big Baller brand did. And I'm not even sure if they still exist or are still making sneakers, but you saw the sneakers that they put out. They were charging a tremendous amount of money for them, and quite frankly, they kind of look like garbage. They look like copies of a lot of the sneakers that were available from Nike and Adidas. It wasn't really possible for them, based on the amount of money that they were putting into the company, to actually put something out that would be technologically on the same level as what the big brands are capable of. So if Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi were to actually have their own line of football boots, as much money as those guys have, they would only want to invest so much. So I would imagine that any boots they'd be putting out would be very, very simple, which I don't think would actually do well long term in the modern football boot industry. And you use Pele Sports as an example. They were producing some decent football boots, certainly not the most durable ones, but look where they are now, out of business. Hey Jaquavis, how long do you think it will be until there is a laceless boot that can legitimately compete or outperform boots with laces? I've owned 3 different laceless boots, including Copas, and none of them are as good as my Hypervenoms, but that's just my opinion. This is actually a really good question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but as of right now, I really don't know. I think what can help the laceless boot concept drive forward in terms of improving overall performance is Adidas actually having some competition in that particular category of football boots. We know Lotto put out something that is admittedly very similar design-wise to that of the Predator 19 Plus, an Adidas product, but I really don't think that Lotto is a serious threat to the Adidas brand. We would realistically have to see Nike start doing laceless boots as well. And then at that point, now you have something to compare to these Adidas laceless products to really make them kind of push the boundaries of what a laceless football boot can be. At the moment, to me, it almost seems like they're putting out certain laceless products, not all of them, because I think the Copa 19 Plus in particular is really good, but all the other ones for the most part, they're just okay. And just okay seems to be good enough for a lot of people because you really don't have any other options. I think what needs to happen to laceless boots in order for them to perform on the same level as a laced football boot is you need to have that adjustability, the ability to get your foot inside of the boot and then have it tighten around your foot, which you just don't have with a laceless football boot. Yeah, you can use elasticated materials and technically it tightens around your foot, but it still has the ability to expand when you're still wearing the boots, which is exactly what you don't want. So you would basically need some kind of magical material that doesn't exist at the moment that could expand and then kind of squish back to its own shape, squeezing your foot, tight enough to, but not too tight to where it's uncomfortable, and then holding itself in place. So again, it's a very, very complicated way of doing something. It would require something very revolutionary from a tech standpoint. But as of right now, I don't see laceless boots really moving forward much more than they already have. Do you think Mizuno will ever be as prevalent in the football industry as Nike and Adidas? Globally, no. I think in Japan, being that they're the hometown brand, they're maybe a little bit closer in terms of market share to what Nike and Adidas have, but I think Mizuno has really established themselves as more of a niche brand, and they've made choices specifically to stick with kangaroo leather on all three of their current silos. Kangaroo leather and leather boots in general, I don't think are really the way of the future in the football boot industry, and trends can change. Maybe leather boots will have another spike in popularity. There seems to have been one as of late, but in general, given the look of the product, I would say, as well as given the cost of the products, because their made in Japan products are quite expensive. I'd really like to see the Indonesian made ones actually be offered globally rather than just inside the Japanese market and Asian markets, because in Europe as well as in North America, there really is nowhere to buy the non-made in Japan models, which are actually really good quality. So I think that could definitely help them in terms of trying to gain some market share, but to come anywhere close to Nike or Adidas or even Puma for that matter, I just don't see that happening, which is a real shame because they make legitimately some of the best football boots out there right now. Have you ever had a pair of Lucky boots in which you always seem to play well? This is actually a really good question. I'd be curious to hear if any of you guys have had Lucky boots over the years, but I can honestly say that I haven't. I'm not a superstitious person in any way at all when it comes to boots or a warm-up routine or whatever it might be. Pretty much anything in my life, I really don't factor in luck or doing something the same way repeatedly in order to get a certain outcome. It's just something that has never really appealed to me, so I'm super not superstitious. I guess I've just never been one to try and credit my boots for me playing well. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'd also like to thank Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. If you've never heard of Squarespace, it's an all-in-one platform that allows you to easily build your own website, whether it's for personal or business reasons. If you're in the process of trying to start your own business, then you know that a website is pretty much mandatory these days. And what's great about Squarespace is it has everything that you need all in one platform that is surprisingly easy to use. You don't have to have any kind of experience in web design or anything like that. And it allows you to make a very clean and professional looking website to represent your company in the best way possible. So if you're looking to build your own website, head over to squarespace.com/soccer reviews for you to start your free trial. And if you decide you want to continue on with them, you can use coupon code Soccer Reviews for you to get 10% off your first purchase. All of that info is linked down below in the description, so make sure you go ahead and check it out. And once again, thank you to Squarespace. If you guys enjoyed this Q&A video, don't forget to support it with a like. Also, if you guys have a boot related question that you'd like me to potentially answer in the next episode, again, head on over to SR4U_Josh and go and follow me there if you don't already. If you have any questions regarding anything that was discussed in today's video, leave those down below in the comment section. I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.